choices.
You
There's
guys
3 of us.
You guys can't plan ahead.
I'm not planning ahead. I'm just saying there's 3 choices.
There's 3 choices. We're gonna play rock, paper, scissors.
I thought we were going to arm wrestle.
You better not arm wrestle with me. You might not win.
We do like the old-fashioned leg wrestle. We lay on the ground out here and leg wrestle each other like we're
No.
in the 1800s.
Ernesto, it's the whole council, I think.
Yay!
Should we acknowledge
I
them?
think so.
okay.
I think it'd be nice if
Are they all back?
They are.
their youth council students here.
Thank you.
Good evening. People are running across.
No decorum.
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Logan Municipal Council for November 18th, 2025. Our opening ceremony this evening will be given by our City Attorney, Craig Carlston.
I invite you all to stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Craig. Short and sweet. Our next item of business this evening is the acceptance of the minutes and the approval of of our last meeting and the approval of the agenda for this evening.
I would move acceptance of the minutes and approval of tonight's agenda.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our regular meeting schedule is the first and third Tuesdays. Our next meeting is December 2nd. We will have 2 meetings in December, and sometimes we don't, so just wanted to say that. Before I open it for questions and comments, I'd like to recognize the Logan Youth Council. They have come to be a part of our meeting this evening, and we're thrilled to have you here. We're thrilled that you are interested in local government, and I know you have 2 excellent council people helping you learn everything. So thank you for being here. This is the time on the agenda where we allow questions and comments for the mayor and the council on items that pertain to the mayor and the council. Please take no more than 3 minutes and state your name and where you live. I will open the floor.
First, I would like all of you to read the back of your agenda.
Please tell.
Gail Hansen, Logan, Utah. I'd like to invite you to read the back of your agenda. There's a italicized part in blue that says that we should be avoiding applause and cheers so that everybody feels comfortable having their views expressed. I would also like to invite you to think about Tinkerbell. At the end of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell has to be believed in order to survive. Our government has to be believed in order to survive. There are at least 3 legs to domestic tranquility. One is responsive government at every level: school administration, city and county councils, library boards, water districts, planning and zoning. Another is law enforcement that tries to center every person's constitutional and legal rights. The third is an educated populace that approaches the problems they face through legal channels, yet every voice, including the unschooled, inexperienced, or crude, should be equally heard. Our forms of government, I believe, strive for this ideal imperfectly. In our community, we need to increase the competence of our people so that we can all talk about differences, friction, disputes, problems. Many of us have grown up in a problematic culture that inflates any disagreement to contention and elevates unity above argumentation and consensus above compromise. I will close by quoting Terry Pratchett. "You're saying humans need fantasies to make life bearable." Really? As if it was some kind of pink pill? No. Humans need fantasy to be human, to be the place where the falling angel meets the rising ape. Tooth fairies? Hogfathers? Yes. As practice, you have to start out learning to believe the little lies. So we can believe the big ones, yes. Justice, mercy, duty, that sort of thing. They're not the same at all. You think so? Then take the universe and grind it down to the finest powder and sieve it through the finest sieve, and then show me one atom of justice, one molecule of mercy, and yet, death waved a hand. And yet you act as if there is some ideal order in the world, as if there is some rightness in the universe by which it may be judged. Yes, but people have got to believe that, or what's the point? My point, exactly.
Thank you, Gail.
Yeah, Jeff Muller from Logan. Want to say something. You remember when you took all the shut-off notices, discontinued with the shut-off notice, the paper ones? Well, it's working. The texts are actually a lot better. I haven't had my utility shut off yet. Close, but no, it's actually ended up being a really good idea, because no more hidden notices in the bottom of mailboxes. So anyway, I wanted to thank you about that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's probably all Rich. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
Hi, my name is Suzanne Janicki. I live in North Logan. I'm a retired geoscience professor, and I'm an emeritus in geology. And my goal here today is to talk about landslides, and if I could pass this around the audience. And I have handouts for the council as well. And my topic is, again, landslides, and I'd like to explain why there are so many landslides on the Logan Bluff, all the way from Merlin Olson Park to Herms Inn. That whole area is called the Logan Bluff. And the reason that it has landslides is that it exceeds something that we call the angle of repose. Oh, and look, I can do this. I needed a flat surface. So the angle of repose of my pens here, I can put down a third pen and it squishes the other ones aside. I keep trying to build this up, and you notice that there's landsliding continually happening, and it looks like the angle of repose of my pens is about 10 or 15 degrees. The material in the Logan Bluff has an angle of repose of about 25 to 30 degrees. It depends on the material. And basically the entire bluff, the Logan Bluff and the River Heights Bluff, exceed the angle of repose. So the entire bluff could collapse in a landslide like the one that's depicted here on the front. This is the most catastrophic one that happened in 1916 at about 500 East after a major rainstorm. Oops, I'm sorry. Whoa. Sorry to mess up here. After a major rainstorm, which can be a trigger for landslides. So when you have rain from just precipitation events, from people irrigating up above, from a canal that's leaking, any other source of extra water, that could be a trigger for a landslide, and that's happened in the past. The other thing that can make landslides more likely is if you have clay. I dug this out of a trench in the front yard because we had to have some piping redone. This is what some Bonneville clay looks like. And it's fairly firm. I could pass it around if you'd like to look at it. But I also brought some wet clay. When the clay gets wet, it looks like this.
Hey, Suzanne,
And can cause
your
landslides.
3 minutes are up.
I just give you each some clay, and think about what happens when you have wet clay 4 feet thick at the bottom of the Logan Bluff, like was discovered in the geotechnical reports.
Thank you.
Thank you. there anyone else who wishes to speak? We will close the public comment period, and we will move now to the mayor and staff reports.
Thank you. Tonight, I will give an update on Canyon Road and sort of our rebuild decisions. We've been considering that for a while, so this is kind of the formal announcement. The city has spent considerable time studying how to rebuild and improve Canyon Road following the installation of a new 10 million gallon water tank and a 42-inch transmission line. This major water infrastructure project, driven by state requirements and our 2025 Drinking Water Master Plan, will support long-term community water needs throughout the city. Construction of the tank and parts of the water line is already underway, and tree removal on Canyon Road has begun, so trenching can start in spring 2026. As we considered how to rebuild the roadway afterward, we gathered extensive public feedback through individual comments, a citywide survey, neighborhood plans, and our new general plan, which emphasizes connected trails as a top community priority. Other guiding documents include the Wilson Neighborhood Plan, the Transportation Master Plan, and the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan. And we've also worked closely with staff and other design experts. While some residents do oppose changes on Canyon Road, many others are supportive. As an example, I received the following email from a resident following our public meeting this fall. Quote, "I have been in favor of the project from the beginning and now even more so. I also want to thank you for taking the hard steps to greatly improve the island area. I have lived on XX Street for 42 years. One of my greatest concerns has been no sidewalk and speed on Canyon Road. My kids were never allowed off our little street because of it. I have either run or walked on Canyon Road or the trail behind my house nearly every day during that time," close quote. Parents in the area have repeatedly told us their children haven't been able to safely walk or bike along the corridor for decades. This project creates a rare opportunity. The city already owns the needed right-of-way, allowing us to build pedestrian and cycling infrastructure that will serve the next 50 to 100 years. Some survey respondents question why no sidewalk or trail wasn't an option. That was intentional. City code requires a pedestrian facility, and the survey focused on design elements that could be adapted. Regardless of the final layout, the ash trees and others along the corridor must be removed for the water line installation. Based on community input, we have made several compromises. Even though Canyon Road is designated in the Transportation Master Plan as an 80-foot right-of-way, 3-lane collector road, we are reducing it to a 66-foot right-of-way, 2-lane configuration to address neighborhood concerns about traffic speed and volume. This design, curb and gutter, defined striping, and pedestrian facilities will help calm traffic. The pavement will be retained at its same approximate current width. Survey results showed the top priorities are trees, trail connectivity through a shared use path, traffic calming, and pedestrian safety. Because trees ranked highest, the city is committing to planting larger caliper trees that will grow quickly. Without a park strip and pedestrian facility on the north side, new trees could not be planted there. We also plan to reduce planned parking at the park based on survey feedback. After construction, any unused right-of-way is planned to be deeded to the adjacent property owners. After weighing all viewpoints, planning documents, technical requirements, and staff recommendations, and coordinating with the Wilson Neighborhood Council, I am proposing that the city build an 8-foot wide shared use path along the north side of Canyon Road from Herms Inn to the Dugway. This will include curb and gutter and a park strip with large trees. Shared use paths are part of the city's trail system and will be maintained year-round by the Parks Department, including snow removal. In a few tight areas, the width may need to narrow, but the path will remain ADA accessible. Canyon Road is uniquely positioned to connect existing and future trail networks, offering a safe route for pedestrians and cyclists, direct access to Logan Canyon, and, when the next phase is funded, a connection to Merlin Olsen Park with minimal street or road crossings. No other route can offer this type of safe, continuous link. While individual preferences do matter, our responsibility is to consider the long-term good reflected in multiple community-driven plans. Trail development is a major priority citywide, and projects like the new pedestrian underpass at 600 South Main show our commitment to active transportation and outdoor access for people of all ages and abilities. As we move forward, we will work closely with residents to maintain the character of Canyon Road through thoughtful landscaping, tree placement, and careful design of retaining walls to minimize their visual impact. The recent survey highlighted both real neighborhood concerns and a broader desire for connected, safe, walkable communities. Balancing these goals requires difficult choices, but we must keep our long-term vision in mind. In conclusion, I am recommending the 8-foot shared use path design and asking for a head nod from City Council to proceed. I believe this approach benefits the entire community for the long term. And we will post this statement on the project website for reference in the morning. So again, that is my recommendation to the council. We're just asking for a head nod that we're moving in the right direction. So.
Well, I know there's been lots of discussion back and forth between 5-foot, 8-foot. I think the fact that it's going to be maintained and make it usable. I know for me personally, walking in my neighborhood, it's very difficult, even with a street with sidewalks. I end up on the street a lot. So I appreciate your outlining all of the different components that went into making the decision. I will give you a head nod.
Thank you.
Are we just going down the road here for a head nod?
well.
I didn't know if there was an order. I think there's been a lot of discussion about this, as we all know, for the last year. And I know there's been countless hours of stress and discussion and debate and weighing the options. And I think throughout this, a priority to help connect our neighborhoods has been very high. And I know there was a lot of debate between the 5-foot and 8-foot. And I agree that winter maintenance is a huge benefit for that area. Even, and I say this regularly, but even just walking, I walk my kindergartner to school. It's about a little over half mile every single day, one way to school. But we cross a 4-foot section of sidewalk and a 5-foot section of sidewalk and a 6-foot section of sidewalk. And if we cross the road, we can use an 8-foot section. So we have a variety. And over the past few months, my wife and I have walked with him on his scooter or walking every section of sidewalk numerous different times, weighing is it worth the extra 3 feet? And even this morning we were walking to school and he's terrible on a scooter, but he was weaving and walking next to me, and my wife just walks in the park strip all the time. I'm always like dragging her back onto the sidewalk and like, no, he can go in front or behind you, but she tries to be the nice mom and give him his room. But I think the 8-foot, I really do think will benefit the neighborhood and I think the connectivity through the corridor. There's not really somewhere else in the city we can build a connection like that between Merlin Olsen and downtown and the canyon. So I know I've said numerous times that I'm in support of the pedestrian facilities, and I'll give you a head nod as well.
Well, I don't have a lot to say other than that. I know these decisions have been extremely difficult, and we have tried to weigh all of the bits and pieces that went into the decision. I too believe that having the 8-foot sidewalk is a benefit where it will be maintained by the city. I think that makes it far more usable year-round because I do know that I've walked many times on the small sidewalk on the other side that never gets shoveled. And it makes it really difficult to walk with or without your dog. So I would join with my head nod as well.
And I want to thank everyone that has been involved and engaged on this matter through various ways, email, through the meetings and so on. Last Sunday, there was a little gathering of neighborhood people. That's the route I take to go to work from home. And so I myself will miss seeing those trees. And I, again, just want to recognize that there are plenty of people that will be directly impacted by this, and that they are they have an opinion because of, rightly so, they're going to be impacted by this. With that said, I do think that a 8-foot path will serve the community very well. I think the people in the entire neighborhood will enjoy it. People from different abilities will enjoy it. It'll be safer, and I do support that.
Thank you. Excellent. We will move ahead with the design, which is, again, from the plot plan that people have seen. It's been partially underway, but again, we can now direct them which option to move forward with, and we will go to work on that. So thank you very much, and again, we do appreciate the input and recognize that there are
It's a
many
difficult
different,
process.
it's been a challenging process, but again, we, I think, always try and do what we believe is best for the overall city for the long term. So thank you for your head nod. We'll move forward.
And we're going to turn the time over to Rich.
Happy to have the fiscal year 2025 annual comprehensive financial report complete. This report is on our website, on the finance website under financial information. We do publish this each year. It has been audited and we received, I'm happy to report, we received clean opinions. I know. There are actually 4 separate opinions, one on the financial statements, one on compliance with federal law, one on compliance with federal controls, and then one on compliance with state laws. So lots of compliance issues, but we received clean opinions, which means in all material respects, our financial statements are reported accurately. And while they're reported accurately, I'm also happy to report that they tell a good story. We've been able to accomplish a lot. We've been able to accomplish a lot of capital projects and investments in infrastructure. And while we can't afford everything, it's clear, we can't necessarily even afford all the things we need, let alone the things we want. The monies that we have been given by council and by the citizens, we've tried to act as responsibly as possible and accomplish as much as humanly possible with those funds. We take it very seriously. In fact, hidden in this report somewhere in the middle is a statement we're required to make whether we exceeded our budget in any significant area. And the answer to that for the past several years is no, which means our managers take it very seriously that they stay under budget from the amounts that council has appropriated for them to accomplish their purposes. That's not a little thing. I also don't want to draw too much attention to it because it is entirely possible that at some point it may be exceeded in some immaterial respect. However, it would still have to be reported here. It's something we watch very, very carefully. Lastly, we have good reserves in almost every fund, and we're working toward appropriate reserves in every fund. Occasionally, we'll drop below as we appropriate funds to accomplish a significant project, and we have several of those ongoing in the water fund, and in the electric fund, and in the sewer treatment fund, where we're trying to accumulate funds for the 4th bioreactor, as well as other areas of the city. Occasionally, we'll drop below our target levels for reserves, but by and large, across the city, if you were to read this report, you'll see that we have significant reserves that we're using for significant capital projects. This report was discussed in detail at the last audit committee meeting. But however, if any of you have any questions or if any of the public has any questions as they view this report, please feel free to reach out.
So our reserves are dictated, a percentage is dictated by the state. They have benchmarks they would like us to reach.
So there, in many of our funds, there's a minimum that we have to have, and if we don't, there are consequences. And then there is a maximum that we're allowed to have. And we always cover our minimum, and we're closer to the maximum, although we periodically drop below. And the maximum, although it sounds like a lot because it's maximum, it's not a significant dollar amount if we had a significant event. One block of infrastructure is outrageously expensive. 2 or 3 blocks would drain all the reserves we have. is just outrageously expensive. However, we're acting responsibly, we're putting funds aside, and we're going to be bringing forward some other capital projects in the near future that will be exciting.
Excellent. Any questions?
I think you're being really modest. I think that page 4 has that page about the excellence. I think you should read that certificate, Rich.
Yes, it's incredibly excellent.
Rich does a very, very good job.
Oh, and obviously this is a reflection of council, of the mayor, of all the department heads who take things very, very seriously. And then obviously the staff in the finance department. Each person is assigned specific areas and has obligations that they have to the city to report and watch things, and they do a wonderful job. But I'm happy to take all the credit.
No, but they received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, which I think is not common for most cities. So I think it is reflective of the work you and your department and all of our managers do, and appreciate very much that this has never been anything that I think we've had to worry about. So,
And if I can add to that, I sit on the audit committee, and I know Rich can sarcastically say things at times, and obviously give credit where credit is due to his staff. But as someone who's been on the audit committee for 2 years and met with the auditors through this report, and they have a short moment in the audit committee meeting where we did it via Zoom, and Rich and Ruben have to jump off the call, and we get to
Leave the room.
Yeah, they leave the room, and we get to
shut the
ask
door.
the auditors any questions we want, and kind of do a checkup on Rich and his staff without them present. And the auditors had nothing but high remarks to say about Rich and his entire staff, and I know that they were impressed that, and this is the first year that we've hired this company, and they were very impressed with the level of preparation and organization and efficiency that your staff had. So I want to give yourself, but also your staff, because I know that they've done a lot as well, but high remarks and props for keeping us in clean financial health.
And we do bid out the audit services every
Right.
3 years. Part of it is to make sure we're still making the best financial decisions, but also just to get
To get the
different
fresh
eyes
input.
on it and make sure that we have, again, different people reviewing things and making sure that there's not something we need to be aware of from a different perspective. So,
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well done.
Okay, we'll move now to council business. That seems to be me.
Just you.
so Jeannie, do you want to announce why it's just you tonight? I don't
I
think
will
Oh,
do
okay.
that. Yeah.
Should we announce it? No, I'm just teasing you. Announce it right now.
I will in a minute.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
So I'm going to go through the Planning Commission report for the last Planning Commission. There was a request to rezone a property at 920 North 200 West from MR12 to commercial in the Bridger neighborhood. That was denied. It will come to us because it is a legislative decision, so they will bring it to us as well. There was 9 townhomes at 675.5 North 500 West in the Bridger neighborhood was approved. A new Dutch Brothers Coffee has been approved on the Highway 89 Plaza, which is south of the South Walmart. And they approved an amendment to the development code on stormwater violation fees, which we will also review and vote on because it's a legislative action. So the next item is board and committee reports, and it's supposed to be me and Mark Anderson. But last evening, Mark resigned from city council as he will be the new mayor on the at the first meeting in January. His resignation has prompted the council to follow the state code to fill his position for the remaining time of his term. Teresa sent out an announcement about that. There has been an announcement. It is an open application process. Please look on the city's website if you are at all interested. And on the 16th of December, we will interview and choose a replacement for Mark's position. And I'm not going to give you all my board and committee reports tonight because we'll move on to our public hearings.
Can I add though quickly?
Yes.
So if people are interested, the deadline is December 5th for applying. Even
Correct.
though the selection will be on the 16th. I don't want people to think that
Oh,
the
that's
deadline is up until the
excellent.
16th.
Thank you.
So the deadline is Friday the 5th at 5 p.m. And I'd encourage you to look closely at that. There's a couple of forms you need to fill out as well as the application. So
There's a financial piece
financial
to it?
disclosure.
That's due 3, not until December 11th, the financial.
Okay.
The disclosure statement is due at
Okay. So please look carefully on the website, and if you are interested, please apply.
And if you have questions, Teresa would be more than happy to answer
Teresa
them
will
for
help you, yes. And let's move now to our action items. Our first public hearing this evening is some changes to the land development code. And I will turn my time over to Russ Holly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a code amendment request from community development staff. The infill code section was adopted about a half dozen years ago. And as we've been implementing it, we found it didn't address multifamily infill as well as it could. And that's what triggered this amendment. So there's just a few things I wanted to highlight. I'll be really brief. Planning Commission reviewed this and made one change and then voted, and they actually voted 4-1. Commissioner Lewis voted nay. We had 3 or 4 public comments at that Planning Commission meeting. There were some for, some against. I think they're actually in the crowd tonight. This deals with flag lots and middle of the block infill. And so I've just tried to highlight the changes. They're not terribly big changes, but the red is the old. So with a flag lot, it used to be 150% of the base zone. So NR6 was a 9,000 square foot lot. Driveway was 20 feet, and 20 feet is based on the fire truck access requirements. But in addition to the 20 feet, we felt a setback of 4 and 8 just gave that buffer because these have to sneak through existing homes. And then standard setbacks, with the exception of you need a 20-foot setback off the shared driveway so that you're not parking in the shared driveway. The one Planning Commission change is the highlighted 100%. So they thought that 100% would encourage more flag lots. Really, the balance that we try to strike is infill is more efficient. It's better for infrastructure, utilities, puts less stress, less pressure on suburban sprawl. But the other perspective is we don't want infill to be too tight, feel like people, are building right on top of each other and ruin kind of the character of some of our core neighborhoods, because these blocks are really big blocks in our core neighborhood. We just don't build blocks like this anymore. And so a lot of them have underutilized land in the middle of the block. The other change is the driveway.
They might argue with you if it was underutilized or not. Some of them would argue.
Yes, maybe I should say vacant areas, because that some of them are very much utilized for farms or gardens or whatnot. So we shaved 2 feet off the driveway for a total of 30 feet. So it's 20 feet paved, 2 and 8. And then setbacks are 125% of the standard. So that was kind of the trade-off for Planning Commission. They felt like if we reduced the lot size from 150% to 100 and then bumped up the setbacks, that could kind of create those cushions or space that they felt was needed. For multifamily flag lots, the only change really is the setbacks go to 150, and the driveway is the same as single family at a total of 30 feet. And multifamily isn't really predicated on a lot size, it's based on a density. So depending on the zone, it might be a duplex, triplex, fourplex, but it's based on the density and the acreage of the site, so not a lot of site. Middle of the block infill is a bigger project. And by the way, we don't get very many of these. Middle of the block infill, we maybe get 1 a year. Flag lots, maybe 2 or 3 a year. So they're not very frequent. It's difficult to get a project site together because oftentimes it's 3 or 4 property owners, and trying to get a project site together is difficult. So these changes are, we just put a cap on it. Before it said 3 or more, and we said 3 to 6. Lot size stays the same. The main difference here is the road or the private street. So it has to be a separate private street. And before it was about 52 total feet, and it was problematic for a lot of developers, so we felt like 36 could work. It's a smaller road. There is sidewalk on one side of the road, and it allows for some pinch points. So if there's an area where you can maybe take off some of the parking along the edge of the road, then to get around an existing home, it allows for that. Middle of the block, multifamily. These are not lots. Again, this is density. So the only change there is we go to units. Sorry, that's actually a typo. That should do 3 to 20 units, not 3 to 20 lots. And then it's the same road. It's the 36-foot road, which is 2 travel lanes, a parking lane, and a 2-foot setback and an 8-foot setback. The only change is the 125% setback. So we tightened up the definition a little bit. So the figure on the left would not be considered middle of the block infill. That would just be standard greenfield development. The figure on the right would be, so that's a block that's developed. It has at least 50% of the perimeter developed, and the project site would have at least 1 house or building that is not adjacent to the perimeter public streets. And then really quick, the change that Planning Commission proposed from going 150% down to 100% of the lot size would likely mean most flag lots are developed in this manner, which is 2 square lots. You'll have 1 lot, 2 lot, and then it's an easement, which you see highlighted in red. That way the lot sizes are closer together. Whereas this style, oftentimes the driveway is part of lot number 2, which does require the bigger lot. So that's just a quick summary. Happy to answer any questions.
Now, say that again. I'm sorry.
So
The driveway becomes part of lot 2 because they have to have a bigger driveway?
no, let me try to explain that again.
There's 2 different ways to do it.
Yeah,
One
so-
is an easement and one is the lot is shaped like a key.
What you see on the screen here is your typical flag lot where there's the flag pole and then the flag lot. And this is all part of the back lot.
Okay.
Including the driveway.
What some people do is create 2 square lots, and then lot number 1 has an easement through it. Even though that's lot number 1's property, lot number 2 has rights to drive over that to get to lot number 2. That way both lots could both be 6,000 square feet. The driveway standards stay the same, but the lot sizes can be smaller this way.
So I have 2 questions. So prompted, I'm assuming some of this was prompted just by the fact that there's a bit of a housing shortage in our community to help ease some of that, because you're referencing, I know we often get say we're changing code for a specific developer, but I think this is to help meet some of the housing crunch. Would that be a fair statement to make?
Yes.
Okay. And then the second was, we talked about this last meeting, but just that you always confirm with with our fire department, et cetera, to make sure that there's still access for emergency vehicles, et cetera, when these lots are done.
Yes, our fire department reviews every subdivision proposal, and the marshal makes sure that they can get in, turn around, get out. There's some different variables there. If they're willing to put fire sprinklers in a home, it changes. But yes, bottom line, fire department signs off on these.
Okay, thanks.
Ross, when you have a driveway that is an easement, is that perpetual? Is there a risk of something being revoked at some point?
Yeah, one of our conditions is a perpetual easement that access is granted. Now, there may be a scenario down the road where access can be granted from a different direction, and that could cause the original access to be revoked. That would be acceptable, but again, it would have to meet those same emergency standards. But yeah, the flag lot has to have access some way.
So with our new ADU outlines, can a flag lot have an ADU built in with it as well?
Yes, this would be an NR6 standard
Regular
building
zero.
lot and could have an ADU if it's owner occupied.
Okay.
So the subdivision part, I have a little heartburn with. Because I feel like we're not creating, we talked a long time ago about creating connectivity through the blocks and sort of making them into 4 blocks instead of 2 blocks. Is there a way that we could accomplish that with a smaller than our normal street width and have that work and have it structured so that if somebody wants to build a couple of houses, they can make a straight road and have a stub like we do with a lot of the other developments where they aren't building all of the pieces at once, and so they have a stub. And then at some point they could go through the other way and build on either side and get it to be more of a regular traditional street rather than a subdivision within a regular lot.
Yes, if we were to adopt new cross sections, we would have to go through a whole new process, and that would be a longer process. One of the reasons we put this cap 3 to 6 here is for that very reason. Is if it makes sense to go through the block and do a bigger development, then we have that option. And Planning Commission or the review authority, if it's a minor subdivision, has that authority to say, there's green area to the north, we want a stub. We don't want a cul-de-sac, we're going to require a stub.
But a 3 to 6 subdivision is only done by staff. It doesn't go to Planning Commission.
Right, but the review authority has that same authority. So in this case, the director could say, we're going to require a stub because there's development potential to the north and there's no other way to get there. So those sections of the code are still intact and applicable.
So
It's
why would we not try to do that all the time and talk about a cul-de-sac as a last resort instead of putting the cul-de-sac in there as the thing we are going to do?
my answer to that would be because when you have a block like this, I don't think it makes sense to tear out a house and run a street all the way through when you could just add 3 or 4 in the middle and have a...
Yeah, but you don't have any access to it anyway. You got to have an access.
This area to the west is vacant and could provide access for a
Right.
small project right here.
Right, but that project could come and stub in the middle wherever they don't own property anymore, and they could build on either side of that road. Instead of doing a cul-de-sac, which sort of eats up the middle of the block with fewer houses, in my opinion. But
No, cul-de-sacs consume more land, that's for sure.
so I'm just saying that. That's my opinion. We still have a public hearing to go through.
What are the benefits of a cul-de-sac versus a stub street like that?
Well, a cul-de-sac would allow you to put a house maybe right here on the end versus a stub would go all the way to the north property
And you'd have a
line.
house, 2 houses on one side then.
Now, what some developers choose to do is a hammerhead rather than a cul-de-sac. Those take up less room. Those could be maybe extended in the future. Those can act as a stub. But these project sites are unique. They're weird shapes and they're hard to get to.
And I'm guessing with fire code, you couldn't just stop most of them without somewhere for the fire truck to turn around. They have to at least have
Exactly.
which is why you end up with either the cul-de-sac or the T.
Yep.
Because you can't just stub. Because you have to be able to turn that
Yeah,
gigantic truck around. How long are those trucks? They're huge.
they're long.
They're long. That's it.
Any other comments? At this point?
Nope, let's hear from the public.
This is a public hearing. If any member of the public wishes to speak to this, please come to the podium, state your name, where you live, and take 3 minutes or less. Anyone? Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
I thought there was going to be a comment or two.
So I don't have any problem with most of it except for the cul-de-sac. Myself.
But they could choose to stub. Or they could choose the cul-de-sac based on the specific property.
They being,
Whoever's developing it.
no, it would be they being.
But I'm assuming the developer could come in and request a stub, or they could come in and request a cul-de-sac. Correct, Russ?
So here's the language. It says it can terminate with a cul-de-sac, a loop, or a hammerhead approved turnaround. So they have 3 choices. Honestly, the cul-de-sac takes up a lot of space, and it's probably the least chosen of those in these tight situations. But those are the 3 that are in the code proposal.
Your preference would be to just remove the cul-de-sac option.
Yep.
Is that something planning commission discussed or not?
Nope.
Why remove cul-de-sac but keep loop? Wouldn't a loop tape up?
I mean, you're
I'm
just
picturing
giving
like a
options.
loop with a
Well,
green space in the middle. Is that correct? Is that how you loop it? Like,
Yeah, oftentimes it would come back and connect to the.
I don't understand why we would be okay with that but not be okay with a cul-de-sac.
I guess I was thinking, I wasn't understanding what a loop was.
It's like a cul-de-sac with a park in the middle.
A loop would reconnect.
So would there be potentially a home in the middle of the loop?
If it's big enough, possibly.
I would assume that is highly unlikely.
Yeah, very unlikely.
I'm thinking of the little infill in the island area called Apple Island.
Apple
It has a
Island,
little loop, but they have green space in the middle.
Yeah. There's one just off of 14th North too. Just north of 14th North. I think it's in the north.
The smaller ones are just going to be the little hammerhead turnaround, and there'll be 2 or 3, maybe 4 houses on it.
I guess my only thing is that I would like us to create, we have a structure of houses around a block, and now we're putting in a circle in the middle. And I guess I wish that in our traditional neighborhoods where this is going to happen, we could be a little more responsive to their traditional neighborhood character. So that's.
And I don't disagree with you. My concern is, I think a lot of these are going to be very unique developments that they're just going to have to work within the odd constraints of what's existing and what land they are able to acquire. And I think flexibility in the code is beneficial to allowing more housing. And I don't necessarily know if a cul-de-sac like that changes character of a neighborhood any more or less than a hammerhead. Is that a technical term? They're T's, right?
Yeah.
It's a weird hammer, but okay.
And the stubbings, like we talked about that 2 weeks ago, that you're probably going to have to take a house out to be able to
Right.
have that mid-lot crossing and.
To like run it all the way
But
through.
that
Yeah.
also might, I mean, you know, as the need for interblock housing happens, you know, in that particular scenario, you could probably have gotten 3 or 4 more houses.
In this one?
If they purchased a lot to go straight through.
Yeah.
But if it's a through street, doesn't that have to be wider?
Yeah, if it's a
Well, no, I
block street.
would have to, the thing that I would want to do is see if we couldn't somehow, for those interblock developments, reduce the width of the street so it's not as wide as our big streets.
What length of street would you need to be able to require a turnaround for the fire truck in there anyway? Would we require one inside a 1 block narrow street or not?
Any home that's more than 150 feet away from our public street requires a turnaround.
So even if it was a narrow street all the way through the block, there would still have to be a turnaround.
No.
somewhere.
If the street connects through, then no turnaround needed.
If it's a private street connecting through, do they need to turn around?
Yeah, if it meets those emergency vehicle requirements, yes. Now, an example of what you're talking about is Marindale Avenue.
Right.
It cuts through the middle of that block on a much narrower scale.
And we don't require a turnaround.
Nope.
If someone was to build something like that today,
Correct.
even if a Marindale was built and privately owned.
Correct.
But this doesn't preclude a Marindale. This just allows in
Just
situations
flexibility.
where there isn't the possibility of a through block, correct?
Yeah, these options don't
Preclude-
have to be
yeah.
a one access. You could go all the way through the block,
If
say,
you could
here's my
acquire it.
private street.
Yeah.
The caveat is it's 6 homes or less.
Right. I don't disagree with you, Jeannie. I just worry about taking away flexibility when someone comes and says, hey, I've been able to purchase this amount of land and we can build this. But it only worked with a cul-de-sac, or it only worked with a loop. And then it's not feasible. Because we said, well, we prefer this in an ideal situation, but then real world on the ground is so far from ideal that then I don't know. That's my concern, I guess. Is restricting it too much? I mean, obviously there's a right level of restriction, but
Well,
I don't know.
Does anybody else?
And you're just saying you'd like to remove the cul-de-sac as an option? That's what you're saying?
correct.
But leave the loop.
No, I don't even want to leave the loop.
Okay, so you just want to only allow hammerheads or stubs.
Right. So that you have the option of creating a through street in the future. But that's my position. I will entertain a motion from whomever would choose to do so.
I would move approval of ordinance 2520.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Our next public hearing is a budget adjustment. Rich?
These are both federal grants that our police department has received, one for $5,889 and the other for $9,374. Request is to appropriate those for police equipment. Nothing exciting. They are forfeitures. It's our portion of a
It's
forfeiture.
always exciting.
Oh, it's very exciting. Actually, for non
Ask.
it's not exciting.
Ask Chief. He'll tell you it's exciting. Are there any questions before I open the public hearing?
Nope.
This is a public hearing. If there are any members of the public who wish to speak to this, please come to the podium, state your name, where you live, and take 3 minutes or less. Seeing no one, bring it back to the council for a decision.
Rich always has the most exciting public hearings.
Really do.
I'll move approval of resolution 2545.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will move now to our workshop items. Mike, you are up first. Well, You don't look like Mike. But we'll take it.
All right, thank you. So before, I made a couple packets. You guys have. Of my.
So we're going to be talking about the
Introduce yourself.
Wildland Urban Interface Code.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
That's why I take this today.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Robert Lacroix. I'm the operations chief for the fire department. I'll be representing the fire department. Chief Thompson is out of town in a conference. So today's workshop item will be adopting the 2006 WUI or Wildland Urban Interface Utah Code. And the reason we need to adopt this code is twofold. HB 48, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with HB 48, if Chief Thompson has talked to you guys about that, but HB 48 got approved through legislation this last spring, and it's twofold. The first part about HB 48 is Forestry, Fire, and State Lands is developing a risk or WUI map, and it's going to have 3 levels within this WUI map, risk map. It's going to have high, medium, and low. And the map has not been developed yet. They believe they're going to use a risk score of about 7 for this map. And if your house is within this structure and this risk map that the Forest, Fire, and State Lands have developed, you'll be assessed a fee that's coming about. And so the second part of HB 48 is developing adopting this 2006 Wildland WUI code and developing a WUI zone. And so today's workshop agenda is to talk about the WUI zone that we came up with. And so working with Chief Thompson and the mayor and Craig and the fire marshal, we developed a WUI map using a risk score of 7. And the WUI zone is going to be the Bonneville shoreline and the deer trail. And anything east of that boundary that's within Logan City will be within the WUI zone. Is there any questions so far?
Is there anything east?
No, as of right now.
Okay.
So if you kind of read those handouts, kind of what really implies is new construction. And then if a house were to be in that WUI zone, it would then fall within the landscaping requirements of the 2006 code. But currently there's nothing. And if we do not adopt this code, then we would be in violation of our cooperative wildfire agreement within the state. And so the CWS, we sign an agreement every year through this cooperative wildfire system that the state assigns us a risk, amount of risk, and ours is $5,100. And it's basically an insurance policy that if we were to have a wildfire that starts in Logan and goes in state lands, then we are not going to be on the hook for the remaining, for the cost of the fire. So for an example, North Logan, we had that fire this year, and we did all their CWS for them. And the fire was...
What's CWS?
It's the cooperative wildfire system.
Okay.
And it's an agreement we provide, it's an agreement with us and the state lands.
You have to do certain things to qualify for that.
Correct.
But again, given the figures, I mean, we serve North Logan. That fire, essentially that little, 16 acre fire that only lasted a few hours because they called in state resources immediately, that cost $1 million.
Yeah.
So if we had not been part of this
CWS.
cooperative wildfire arrangement with the state, that would have come out of our pockets or North Logan's pockets. So it's very beneficial to be part of that system, but again, they're sort of adding additional requirements to
Okay.
be part of it, to try and prevent fires like happened in California or Hawaii or whatever. So they're just looking at the risk areas. And we still don't know exactly where the state is going to,
Exactly.
Do the maps.
Sometime
We're
around
kind of waiting
January,
for
they
that.
should develop the map.
but we're trying to, get ahead of it. And if we have to make some minor adjustments then, so we're using our best estimate on where we think the lines will be, but that could change.
Okay.
So you said this line is risk of level of 6 or 7?
Yeah, so if you go on, it's the, UREP has a map, and it's a Utah Wildfire Risk Assessment portal. That's, anybody can get on, and you can go find out kind of where your house is. And so the risk score we're using is around a 7. So the state recommends using between 5 and 7. They think their high-risk map is going to be somewhere around 7, but we haven't seen the map. The map's supposed to be out around January, and we still don't know what the fees are going to be for the assessment if you live in the high risk. Does that make sense?
This is a 7, this green line.
Correct.
If it went to a 6, any idea where it would land?
So in a couple of, more houses of Logan would be impacted. Now, if you were within a 6 and more houses are impacted, there's two different things. If that's our WUI requirements, our Wildland Urban Interface requirements, so that the 2006 code would apply for us. But as far as the state map, they can have it as 7 and no houses are in it, and so there'd be no fee. Does that make sense? So it's kind of twofold. It's the state's doing their own thing, but part of the requirement to be part of the CWS system, kind of the insurance policy, is to adopt the wildland code and a map. So if we don't adopt this code or develop a wildland zone, we're not compliant, and therefore our CWS.
But it may affect other cities we serve right now, like Providence and North Logan, potentially, more than Logan, especially as they continue to develop. But again, they're trying to get ahead of some new developments that are really right adjacent to that wildland urban interface.
So as of now.
So basically, it's saving North Logan $1 million
Yeah.
by being part of this
Yeah.
CWS.
So right now, though, and from my understanding, all of the land that would be east of this green line is not private land, though, correct?
It's Logan up to, the state land.
And then
Right.
that red line is the
But
state.
I mean, it's not privately
Exactly.
owned. No one's going to build a house there in that area, correct?
I'm not, that part I
Any of
don't
this is
know.
privately owned, is it here?
Well, probably the red line is state,
Yeah.
and
I
the
don't-
green line is the boundary.
But I don't, my.
And it may be, again, we have sort of
50 meters.
height requirements in terms of, you can't build
Can't
above
build
a
above
certain line.
point. Okay.
So this line's drawn at a risk assessment of 7.
Yeah, correct.
And you feel confident with the 7 instead of a 6 or a 5?
Correct, at this time, yes.
Right.
Okay.
Again, we don't know what.
We don't know what the state's gonna do.
What's their final map.
And then, we can always come back and adopt a lower zone.
Are there any other questions?
I have a lot to read. Thank you.
Yes.
The current resolution doesn't adopt the map, so we'll need to add that section. So that will be put in. But the current
Okay.
resolution does not refer to the map, so that'll be
Okay.
there for your.
But it adopts the code, which
Adopts the
we
code.
need to do one way or the
We
other.
need to add the map.
We'll add the map.
Okay,
So we'll add the map to this resolution or to a
Yeah,
future?
there'll be a section B to this resolution that adopts the map.
okay. Thank you.
Any other question?
No, thank you very much.
You have the same question. I don't think anyone can build up there.
Aaron, you're on for our second
I mean,
workshop item.
could sell it. I think it's possible. Likely could sell off the Forest Service lands. Be a nice
Thank you,
thing.
Chair. Thank you, Council.
We just barely passed this, now you're gonna change it.
I like to fiddle.
Are you gonna play for us?
Yeah, I can scratch out a tune.
I prefer the cello.
Hey,
Electric guitar. That one came in the
I
middle.
don't judge Aaron's choice of musical instruments.
So what we're bringing here is an amendment to the bars and taverns section of our alcohol code relating to the number of licenses. Essentially the end goal of this amendment is to create an additional available bar license. Currently, and I'll get into more of this, but just in brief overview, we have 5 available, all 5 are being used. We also have a tavern set of licenses, we have 5 available, 1's being used. So we're looking at combining that into one pool. That's essentially what most of the amendment's about. This did come forward. We do have an application pending from somebody interested in a bar license from one of our manufacturers here in Logan. And then there is a second part to the amendment, and one of the concerns that came up as we discussed this with staff was if we do allow additional bars, we were concerned about the risk of geographic concentration of bars in one area. So we looked at some of the other municipalities, how they've dealt with this as they've rolled back their quotas and allowed more bars. A lot of them have gone with buffers or setbacks or limiting the number on a street. So that's the second part of the amendment goal, is to create some sort of buffer that reduces the risk of concentration of certain license type.
And we're not changing any of the places where they can be, the zones where they can be.
This does not adjust the use chart that we currently have in land development.
And what's the difference between a bar and a tavern?
Thank you.
I'm glad you asked. My next slide here is the bar overview. We'll
Okay.
start with bars and then I'll cover what taverns are. So we do have a definition for bar in our code, not just in the state code. And it means any of the following: a dining club license, equity license, fraternal license, or bar license. So those are all state license types that we call a bar, and they share these similarities. It's a 21 and over age restricted environment. They can sell beer, heavy beer, so that's alcohol by volume greater than 5%, wine and liquor. They must have food available, but unlike a restaurant that has food sale percentages, a bar doesn't have a food sale percentage ratio that they have to meet. And then, of course, I just mentioned we have current local limits on number of bars. It's currently set at 1 license per 10,000 population, so that's where we get the currently 5 available bar licenses. And there's our list of currently issued licenses.
That mirrors the state population, correct?
The state population.
Like the state population limits per
No,
license.
that's allowed.
They have their own
Okay.
pool. There are, and I guess one thing that's aligning right now in this amendment is there are currently state available bar licenses, which is uncommon, but as they went through their assessment with new census data, they upped their number of.
What's the state limit of licenses per
I don't
population?
know for sure.
Oh,
Okay.
it's like 4, and it
Per
varies,
10,000?
it varies greatly. So some communities have a much lower, like I'll say Park City has a much lower, they only have a population of 8,000 permanent residents in their city, and they have multiple bar licenses.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it varies by municipality, they get to
Okay.
choose.
And yeah, and the state has no regional or jurisdictional quotas.
Okay.
So it's just, if you apply and one's available, it can be issued
So-
anywhere. So that's where,
So we picked the one at
So
10,000.
we don't issue the bar license, it's issued by the state.
correct. We issue an alcohol license, but the number of local, sorry, this is a little bit in the procedures. We have a limit on the amount that we can issue for a certain type.
The number we can issue.
Yes, and that is 5 from Logan. And that is set by Logan statute, not the state statute.
But it's 5 of the pool that the state has.
Yes, and that pool is hundreds.
Okay. But if all hundreds were gone, it wouldn't
It
matter.
wouldn't matter. We could say we have 100 licenses in Logan. It wouldn't matter if there wasn't one available at the state.
Okay, thank you. This is always so confusing to me.
It's exciting.
Things I never thought I'd learn about life.
Tavern overview. So tavern, and this is the DAB, so this is the state definition we use. We don't have a different definition in our code, as beer bars, parlors, lounges, cabarets, and nightclubs. Once again, age-restricted location. They may only serve 5% by volume or less, so they can't serve any heavy beer here. And there is no, this is the one license that has no food requirement. Once again, our local limit is 1 license per 10,000. There are 5 available licenses. We've only issued 1. There used to be 3, we're down to 1. And I'll get into the next slide that statewide, there's not a lot of these that are issued anymore. Any questions about taverns? So here's just a little bit of state data. This was pulled when I was first working on this amendment, so it's dated, but I don't think anything's changed dramatically since July. There are 369 bar licenses issued by DAB statewide. There are 8 tavern licenses issued by DAB statewide.
Wow.
And then I did pull the by county just to look at our comparables. So we have 5 bar licenses in cash. They're all in Logan. And I pulled out population data just, again, so you can kind of compare. It goes up, Box Elder, same with us, Tooele 9, Washington County 11, Weaver 32 bar licenses.
Wow.
So it can vary dramatically.
Good old Weaver. They're having a party.
And a lot of that will come down to local legislation. And I'll note things that have changed. Weaver County, Ogden recently, in the last few years, removed their population restrictions. They now use a geographic basis for theirs. And then St. George just this year repealed their population quotas for licenses. I think that's interesting.
Period.
What's that?
They abolished it, period.
Yeah, they removed it entirely. Once again,
You can get a license, you can get a license.
what the trend is
long
to
as you're not
consider
close
this
to another
a
one.
zoning question, and they address it usually through the use chart like we updated last time.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea why there's only 8 tavern licenses issued statewide and 300?
If I was to venture a guess, I would
Yeah,
say
go for it.
1, there's still a lot of local restrictions on tavern licenses that we see.
Okay.
2 is the limit on the products that can be served there are so restricted that nobody's interested in them.
Yeah, it's antiquated.
Yeah, it's an antiquated license. You can go to Chili's offers a wider variety of beverages than a tavern.
Then the White Owl.
Like,
Does the state, they have a certain number of alcohol licenses?
Yes.
Yes.
They don't have a certain number of bar and a certain number of tavern. They just have alcohol licenses.
each one's going to have its own. I can't
Okay.
give you those
There's
total
also,
numbers, but there's a total number.
licenses you can get for chauffeur license.
Yeah.
That you can, like, there's a bunch of different type of liquor licenses the state provides. This is just dealing with bar and
I'm just
tavern
wondering if
licenses.
those,
The ones that run out that are often not available at the state level are bar and full service restaurant. Those 2 are the ones that get the most applications at the state level. I covered a little bit of this. I just wanted to kind of reiterate as we're working through this. So there is a pending application. The proposal is to combine the bar and tavern licenses into a single pool. The proposal is 1 license per 6,000 population. I'll get into a little bit on why that was chosen by staff on the next slide. Again, there's 5 bar, 5 taverns currently. It would go into 1 pool of 9 with our current population, with 6 that would be issued. We have 1 pending applicant. So assuming that that application was issued, we'd still have 2 remaining licenses available for either a bar or tavern under this proposal here. So the number of licenses, we decided to go with the 1 per 6,000. It creates a little bit more restricted pool. So essentially there's 10 licenses available between bar and tavern now. We didn't want to just open a floodgate and bring in tons. I'm kind of an incrementalist at heart, I guess. And so this proposes a 9. It seemed like a reasonable number with 2 available after the pending license if it was issued.
So do we get to define whether it's a bar or a tavern?
No, that's defined by our code or by DABS.
that's defined by the state code.
Yep.
But if it's defined by the state code and we have 5 available tavern licenses, how can we all of a sudden say they can be bars?
Well, we can say whatever we want.
Yeah, it's our local restrictions.
The issue is that we have 5 bar licenses allowed in our code, and all 5 of those are taken.
And we have 5 taverns.
But we
so
have
this would
also
just
5
change.
tavern in our
We're no
city
longer going
code.
to say that there's 5 distinct in each category.
There's just 9 alcohol
There's 9
licenses.
altogether. So you
That
could
may
apply
be
for
either bar or
a tavern.
So the assumption is that someone will open a bar
But-
where they likely would not have opened a tavern, and we're allowing
Because
that.
there's market interest in bars.
So they would apply for a bar license with the state.
So
Or a
would
tavern.
our 1 single tavern turn into a bar?
No,
If they wanted
If
to
they
apply
want to.
for a bar license, but
it would not automatically turn into anything. It would be what license they hold at the state.
But they could change and apply for a bar license if they wanted.
Correct. Now, our 1 tavern may not be eligible under their current operating, where they're located, to change use with the state. Think of grandfather, going from this to that isn't necessarily grandfathered, so they can't just change from a tavern to a bar
Okay,
without meeting the current state standards.
well, that'd be the 300-foot one.
That would be the 600-foot one.
Oh, 600?
That's
Oh,
the
600.
that's 600 ordinary pedestrian travel between community locations and any pedestrian entrance to the bar or tavern.
Yeah, well, they're right across the street from the other one, right?
Okay.
That's a brew pub.
Questions on the ratio that I'm proposing? So I have it at the 1 to 6,000. We did look at some other ones. 1 to 5 would create, 5 licenses, and 5 licenses go into a pool of 10. But that would grow new licenses relatively quickly. And every few years we'd have another license become available. So we felt that was a little too aggressive. 1 to 7, fewer licenses. That would create 7 with our current population. It's slower growth over time. I'll show you that study on the next one. Then if it was if we just took our 1 to 10 and just applied it to both, that would have an inadequate number of licenses. So if we like using population ratios, we felt 1 to 6,000 was the most agreeable of the choices. So what's shown here is those different population ratios. The green line is where we're currently at and what number of licenses would be available under that scenario. So I'd highlight this 1 to 6,000 is the one we went with. Here in 2025, we'd have 9 licenses. Sometime in the future, we'll roll over 60,000 population, we'll get a new license. And this growth table, which was based on 1% annual growth, that'd be 2034. It'd probably be a little bit sooner than that, but you can kind of compare that across these other scenarios if you're interested in if you want to keep the population ratio, here's some other growth scenarios for licenses, number available and how quickly new licenses will become available. Then the proximity portion of the amendment, the goal of the proximity regulation, as I mentioned, is to create that buffer so we reduce the risk of geographic concentration of either bars or taverns. I mentioned the precedents from Ogden and Salt Lake. Ogden uses a number of licenses along a single street face. Salt Lake City has a distance buffer in certain neighborhood and commercial zones. That's kind of what I leaned on. The proposal is a 350-foot buffer. This would be distance between bars and taverns. Both would kind of all be governed by that. It wouldn't affect the existing licenses. As you'll see on the map, there are some that would currently fall within that, but they'd be grandfathered and continue to operate as they are currently licensed. So why 350? It's roughly half a city block. It allows for walking distance between the establishments, but it reduces the probability of, or disallows, street faces or corners become sort of concentration for bars. And then a reminder, this is in addition to the state proximity requirements that was alluded to by Jeannie. We ran a little bit of a study. So on this map, the red dots are existing bar and tavern licensees. The red circular buffer is that 350-foot buffer. This highlights zones where bars and taverns are currently permitted. And then this also takes into account the state proximity requirements around community locations. Those are the blue blobs. And this is a 450-foot buffer. Again, it's a 600-foot ordinary pedestrian travel. For planning purposes, this got really close to that without having to do a more intense study. I wouldn't use this to say this building right here could have a license, but it's a pretty close approximation to that state buffer. And I'll zoom in on sort of the downtown so you can see how this potential ordinance may affect things. I'd highlight, this is the Cash Bar here on South Main Street. Under this rule, you couldn't have, even though this corner over here may be outside of the state proximity, you couldn't have another bar just there on the corner or on the corner across the street under this sort of regulation, even though it would meet the state proximity. So that's sort of how this is intended to be applied to create some sort of separation.
So are the two that are inside the state proximity there?
Yeah.
They're just grandfathered?
They're grandfathered. They came under a variance program that the state used to have that they discontinued.
Okay. Are they just grandfathered in perpetuity, essentially?
Mm-hmm. As long as they keep that license in good standing.
Yeah.
Which is why
We've had those
if the owl
licenses.
switched to a bar, they would be 350 feet.
Right.
They would not be able to.
They'd have to move down the
They'd have
street.
to
Or move their door, if
Yeah.
they've gotten them far enough,
Yeah.
Into the parking lot next door.
which they don't know.
But
You know,
that
this is sort of the proposal I brought forward. There's other ways to get to this, and we're happy to entertain that with you all, but other ideas that we've kicked around and might be more appetizing to council, you could go just to numbers instead of ratios. Just say, well, one more bar sounds great, we'll go to 6, we'll go to numbers instead and say 6 bar licenses and 5 tavern or whatever. Naturally, we'd have to come in every time we want to increase that. It won't naturally increase with population growth. We could just change the ratio for bars. If it's just a bar license we're after, we could just say, okay, well, it's 1 to 10,000 right now. We go to 1 to 7,500. That creates another license available for bars. Or we could adjust the zoning regulation, or consider this more of a zoning regulation. This is a request of the license applications for a manufacturing location. We could say, manufacturing locations, we like you to be able to sell your product. You are not subject to the population ratios and may acquire a license. We'll grant local consent. Or, last one, follow St. George's example, eliminate population restrictions altogether. So that's just food for thought there at the end.
I see you said follow St. George, not Ogden. No comment.
And that's the end of my presentation. Thanks for sticking around for that.
Lots of research. Good for you, Aaron.
We asked
Can I-
lots of questions in the middle.
I'm assuming the reason for this is because we have someone who's wanting to, we have
We
a
have a pending license.
pending license for a
An
bar.
application has been received for a bar.
And so the reason for the proposed change would be to allow that.
And staff reviewed this internally, and
Sure.
we had no objections to increasing this. I think our one concern was whether or not this would lead to any sort of concentrations of bars, and so that's why that proximity came in.
We actually, in 2020, we looked at this when there was the idea of, as we were creating Center Street and creating that vibrancy, that at some level you need to have places that out-of-towners have an affinity to go to versus always having to get a meal. So it was tied in.
They can get a dirty soda. It's Utah. Get your Chick-fil-A. You're done.
Embrace the
I'll
in
just
Rome.
drink some cane sauce. How about that, out of a cup?
Did you say get a dirty soda?
Yeah. Is that what they call them? I'm being sarcastic. I drink my water.
Anything else? Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
The chair will entertain a motion to move to closed session.
No, we need to do the budget adjustment.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Make it so fast, I couldn't happen.
I looked at it and forgot about it. Sorry.
I think the police want us to have
Police reimbursements for overtime shifts happens fairly regularly with coming next.
Were most of these paid for by events and special permits? Is that all of them?
All of them,
Yeah,
yeah.
so none of it's coming out of reserves, it's just all reimbursements for,
Never out of reserves, these
Paid for.
reimbursements for shifts that are.
I'll still ask.
No, it's a good question.
Okay, now I'll say
I
it.
trust you, but only 98%.
That's
The
where-
chair will,
Trust but verify? Is that
All
the-
in,
chair will entertain a motion to move to closed session to discuss potential litigation.
I would moving to a closed session to discuss potential litigation.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Before we vote, briefly, can I ask, we will be coming back here.
Yes.
Yes.
yeah. We come back here to close the
Yeah.
meeting, but there are no further agenda items
Right,
after
but
this. So
you're welcome to stay if
yeah,
you-
welcome to stay, welcome to leave.
We'll just step in the back room. Sorry.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Yeah, Thank you, everyone.
Oh, we're not done
Paul,
yet.
don't leave. I have questions for you
Yes.
afterwards. Can you stick around for me? You'll stick around for a few minutes for me afterwards? Like an hour? I have more than I can text. A lot more. But it'll be brief.
You screwed it up, and let's just move on. Okay, fantastic.
Would anyone like some mud?
You want some mud?
Because Paul's still here.
Paul? Paul?
It's not mud.
All right,
Throw it at
you guys heard. Josh is still here, Paul, Jeff.
Thanks for hanging out,
and
Josh.
Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy.
Very exciting.
All right.
The chair will entertain a motion to resume the meeting.
I'll
Make a
move we
motion.
resume the meeting.
I'll second a motion.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And now we have, are there any other considerations?
Just a reminder to the public and to our
To Josh.
police chief and other interested parties that the warming center is scheduled to open on Sunday after Thanksgiving, so a week from this Sunday. We have not seen any code blues called because for skiers it's been sad, but for individuals who are worried about staffing a warming shelter, we have not hit an 18-degree temperature, and it does not look like we will prior to that opening date. So they are still actively looking for volunteers, though, so encourage people if you're interested. They're probably about 25 volunteers short in order to be able to staff it all the time for the full season. That is my other consideration.
Any other considerations?
No, Madam Chair.
We are adjourned.